Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a video that some of you guys have been waiting for a long time, and that's a 1 versus 1 between myself and Valh. This is Odon and the 1v1 map version of it. We're playing on this map because Valh hadn't before, and therefore we decided to play it out. I don't think I played the 1v1 version either, so it's a pretty even game in that respect. But the main reason we're playing against each other was because we were on the pre-release version of Steel Division before the game came out. This video is probably going to come out after the release, so just bear that in mind. But we wanted to try out the new decks. So in this one I'm going to be playing the 716th Infantry, also known as the Eichenlaub Division or Oak Leaves Division. And Val's going to be using the Guards Armoured, which is the British Armoured deck. So we were really looking forward to playing both of these decks. I know Valh had a really fun time with his deck, and I certainly enjoyed playing mine, although I wasn't particularly keen on the way it played out in terms of the strategy I had to use, because I'm not really much of an artillery person, and I had to use quite a lot of artillery in this game to get it rolling. But either way, let's have a quick look at some of the units we are deploying. So on my side of things, I'm deploying some of these Panzer B2s available to this division. They are probably one of the best tanks you can actually get on this deck, which is quite silly. But either way, they're very, very strong actually. 7 AP power, 7 armor, but they also have a really nice HE gun on the front of them. You can see here I'm actually removing them since I don't want to bring them in at the start of the game. They are pretty expensive, and I'm actually going to replace it with a flame version in the end. Get one of the Flammpanzer B2s in here. The rest of my infantry that you can see here is Osttruppen with a command infantry, and I've got another Osttruppen on the left there. I've got Osttruppen here with the pack, and another Osttruppen here with the pack as well. And that was literally my combination of forces for the front line. If we go over to Val's point of view, we can have a look and see that he has a nice combination of rifles, and he also has his own AT gun there. He also has this, the AEC Mark III, probably one of the most versatile recon units that I've seen in the game so far. You can bring one in phase A, and it has 11 AP power and 8 armor. This could definitely change before release, so bear that in mind. But basically it's a recon vehicle that can take on most early tanks very effectively. It doesn't have any veterancy, which kind of lets it down, but it's still incredibly effective. If it did have veterancy, it would be borderline OP. In the center here, Val's going to be relying on some Vickers HMGs alongside command infantry and an AT gun. Couple of rifle squads as well. So we are off, and in the center I decided to bring myself up a mortar, and here is the Flammpanzer B2. I really like the look of this tank. It's really awesome. It has the flame nozzle at the front there, as you can see. It does have to be pointing in the direction it wants to fire. But yeah, just the detail on this tank is absolutely insane. It looks amazing. Really good attention to detail on that vehicle. Same with all of the vehicles really. This Kubel here arriving with the Grenführer to assist the Osttruppen as they move into the town. And over on this left side I'm bumping into the AEC Mark III as it fires onto my infantry here. So the Osttruppen going to be taking up the tree line, assisted by the Grenführer, and the AT gun here, the Pak 37, is going to be getting on target as soon as it can. Flammpanzer B2 is going to be moving up, and this is when I was wishing that I'd brought the normal B2s, because my normal B2 would have been able to engage with the HE gun on the front of it straight onto this 6-pounder very effectively, but instead I'm forced to drive off the road with the Flammpanzer after taking a couple of shots into the front armor and moving around the right side. Not too much new to see on Val's side of things yet. He's using rifles, Bren Group, 6-pounders. We've seen that all before. Same with the Vickers HMGs and the command carriers. On my side of things, same thing. Pak 37, Osttruppen, and some Grenführer. Flammpanzers mainly the new unit on my side of things and the AEC Mark III, the main unit that is new on his side of things. This one being unique to the Guards Armoured and the Flammpanzer being unique to the 716th Infantry. So I've got my mortar coming up. I actually unloaded it accidentally early on, so I had to run it all the way to the town, which was really irritating because I would have been able to smoke off this 6-pounder a lot more effectively, and also just in general like mortared that to get rid of it, but because the 50mm mortar only has like 900 m range, it wasn't very effective in this scenario. However, what I'm doing here is moving forward the Flammpanzer B2 down the right side of these buildings, out of line of sight of this 6-pounder, because that's the one I can see at the moment. You can see Val's got another one over here, and that will come into play later on, but at the moment I can see this 6-pounder, the 2 Vickers HMGs taking up those buildings, and I'm engaging them with the Osttruppen. Now the Osttruppen aren't very good at like being offensive troops, they're very defensive troops, so I've got to keep them in these buildings really as I continue to engage these machine guns. Can't really attack them per se. Over here I've brought up one of the LEFH 1419s. These have 14 HE power, and I'm going to be using that to try and arty Val's 6-pounder. On the left side, Osttruppen going to be pinning down the Bren group, and the AT gun comes into sight here, and look at that juicy side armor that it's got. Now this B2, I decided that it's better off just to try and get to the next building rather than try and turn around and go back, because that would take forever. So I tried to move forwards, but unfortunately with the engine destroyed there, the 6-pounder gets a free shot, and that's a very dead B2. So I did lose that, and that was a big blow to my offensive early on, because I was relying on that to push into the next town, and I had managed to finally deal with the 6-pounder. Take out a 6-pounder on the left side, since I do blow up the Lloyd carrier that was bringing it in. Let's jump back to the neutral perspective here, and you can see I'm using this 1419. I think actually that killed off the 17-pounder when it showed its, or 6-pounder when it showed itself on the left side. So either way, that artillery is coming in, and I can see that the front line's bending here. I know he has something there. I can't see it though currently, but I'm basically convinced he's trying to get towards my artillery, which would make sense because he wants to silence that since it's pinning down a lot of his infantry, which are trying to take on my Osttruppen here. Now in the centre I've got quite a good foothold, but currently Val's running the +1 with 54% lead, and that's not ideal. I brought up a second of those guns, this one providing more artillery fire onto the opponents. Now you can see I have 2 of these 14 HE power, very long range artillery guns at the start of the game. Now that just shows like the power that you can bring in terms of artillery in this division. Ideally, I probably should have been investing into more infantry and tried to take back more ground early on, but I really wanted to try out a lot of these units. So here I'm actually bringing up a Lorraine in Phase A as well with a 27 HE power, which is fantastic for blowing away infantry squads and in-placed units. So Val's brought up one of his Phase A units, the Cromwell 5. In the Guards Armoured, you do get one of these in Phase A, and they can be extremely effective. They do have 2 machine guns along with 4 HE power currently on their main gun. Continuing to pin down the infantry in the open on the left side, and now my gun here is actually firing at close range towards these rifles with direct fire. So he saved himself, which was nice, and I'm going to be able to continue to fire at that close range accurately. But what I'm going to do is try and bring up these Osttruppen as quickly as possible to take care of the rifles. I can't really move much further in the centre with all of these Osttruppen because, like I was saying, they are defensive troops. Fusilier is here to provide recon. I've got the Grenführer with a machine gun and a Pak 37 lying in wait on the right side to ambush these tanks. And at the moment I can actually see these vehicles, the Cromwell 5 and the Crusader AA Mark II, so I can't push onto those with infantry at all, and I can't reveal my Pak 37 or it's going to die. I make the rifles surrender here, and now it's time for me to try and make back some ground on the left side, although I don't push as much as I should have been. Continuing the artillery fire on the left, trying to get rid of these rifles and Bren group. And over on the right side, I'm literally holding the front line with just one squad of Osttroppen and the Pak 37. So since I brought in all of these Osttroppen, I've got to fan out. I've got to make back some ground, but I really don't do it fast enough. Valh is currently racking up points. We're working on a 2,000 point victory condition. Here I'm engaging him with the rifles, and we're going to take them out. The cars now being fired since the MG40 or 34s have run out of ammunition. All of my artillery is now trying to hit this AEC Mark III, just to stop that providing its fire support. And like I said earlier, I really should have been pushing these guys further up, because you can see by the front line there's nothing in these buildings, so I definitely should have been trying to occupy them while I still could, and that would have allowed me to probably get to nearer a 50-50 territory at this point, allowing the lead of Valh's to disappear and put the initiative back in my favour. Because I'm really worried that my deck's quite reliant on Phase A, because it does have like the increased requisition points. Valh here is going to be bringing in a Spitfire Mark 9, and that's going to be going straight for the bombing run onto my replaced Pak 37. The last one was destroyed in this bush, I believe, or at least it had fallen back, but that one gets bombed out either way. And this Kubel MG is going to help me pin down some of these Bren group. Artillery fire finally takes out the unit of rifles on the left side, thanks to the IG-18. And this IG-18s are just really good at the moment. So that's going to also help pin down the Bren group there alongside the Kubel MG. My main issue at this point is that there are enemy forces in this tree line, which is the main reason I wasn't moving up the Osttroppen. So I do have the Alcala here moving up to try and spot anything that would be there. On the right, my Pak 37 has been spotted, and that's being fired upon by the Vickers HMG. It was kind of annoying because as soon as that's pinned down, Valh's free to use this Cromwell. I'm trying to pin it down with the 1419, and this is something that you don't see very often, a Ju-88 in Phase A. One of the additions to the 716th Infantry. Comes with multiple 10HE bombs, and it's basically a good carpet bomb for the city there in order to dislodge a lot of infantry. Because he still has all these vehicles here though, I am going to still struggle to push up, which is why I'm still not moving up my Osttroppen. Maybe if I use smoke, that would have been a good idea. Just completely forget to use smoke sometimes. And in this case, making a smoke wall would have actually been ideal. The main issue with a lot of my units is that the Lorraine and these artillery pieces don't actually have smoke, otherwise I probably would have used these. And this mortar just wasn't really doing too much the game. I think I pretty much just forgot about this one. But yeah, if I had some smoke here, definitely could have tried to make a push and gain some ground in the town, and Valh can probably see this at this point, that he's got literally nothing left here, so he's reinforcing with as much infantry as he can, moving into Phase B. The Phase B has arrived, and I'm trying to move up a Panzer B2 across this field to support a push of Osttroppen towards this tree line. Brought up a Pak 40 as well, and that is to help deal with the Crusader AA and the AEC Mark III on the left side. If we jump to my point of view, that's pretty much all I can see on the left, and I can see all these half-tracks coming down in the centre. On this right side, Osttroppen being engaged by the rifles and the rifle leader now. Valh's trying to probe and make as much ground as he can in as many places as possible. So you can see my artillery here, and you can see the Lorraine. This Lorraine I move forwards to fire onto all of this infantry. to get back to my point of view, and you can see that actually over on this left side, Valh didn't have too much here, so if I'd moved up the Ostrupen earlier, I would have had a lot of ground. It's only 53% still, but it's still a +1 in his favour, and it's still counting up over 600 points now, which is quite significant in the long run. So my Ostrupen doing what they do best and just taking fire from the opponents. 2 Spitfire Mark 9s are now coming in, and they are going to be bombing my infantry in these buildings. That's going to be really doing a lot of damage to my Ostrupen, to my Fusiliers, and to the Grenführer. I bring in my ME-109 just a little bit too late there. I believe I was waiting for the tick of reinforcement points in order to bring that in. But as I go for a strafing run, it actually gets hit very hard by the M5 harsh tracks and is actually forced to fall back anyway. Over here, AT gun, the 6-pounder sneaks through the forest, and although I had line of sight on that, it actually managed to one-shot my B2, which was actually pretty lucky for like a no-vet 6-pounder, which was kind of annoying. I was kind of counting on the 6-pounder missing there and being able to take that out with the B2, and with the B2 gone, well, it's actually going to really affect my push with these Ostrupen towards both this half-track and the Bren group. But I do have artillery support still, we mustn't forget, so that's going to be coming in and doing as much damage to that AT gun and Bren group as quickly as possible. My mortar's finally opening up again onto some of this advancing enemy infantry in the centre, and I also have my Lorraine trying to do its best too. So I get rid of the AT gun there, and the Bren group are pinned down. But this half-track's still an issue, I don't have much to deal with that, and in the sky, Valh now has a Tempest, so I can't really bring in my ME-109 until he puts that in a precarious position. He's going to be trying to use that to strafe my Lorraine. The Lorraine only has 2 side armor, so it's very easy for the 50 caliber machine guns of the Tempest to penetrate that if I'm not too careful. Managed to bring up a Opel Blitz munition here to resupply the artillery, and that artillery is going to be continuing to fire away. I'm also moving back the Lorraine to gain some ammunition as well, so that I can continue the artillery fire throughout the game, and it's really doing a lot of damage here. You can see I'm pinning down these rifles and the Bren group. I've got my recon here that's spotting things for me, but I'm not seeing this movement at the moment. I just believe that he retreated them behind the tree line to take them out of line of sight. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, the front line is still very much defended on its left side, but if we jump to Valh's point of view, there's literally a rifle squad, 1 man, and a Bren group here. If I'd killed this rifle squad sooner, the front line would have swung forwards on the left side, and I probably would have tried to take full advantage of that. But now what's happening is the AEC Mark III and the Crusader AA Mark II are coming through the gap in the tree line here to engage both of my Ostrupen. Now I'm trying to do my best with the Pak 40 here to take out some of these units, and it does manage to take out the Crusader AA, so that was a really nice hit. I've reinforced my right side with some of the Italian infantry that is new to the 716th Infantry. And the Pak 40 is continuing to attack the Bren group and rifles with its HE rounds. So yeah, Italian infantry. These guys have the M38 Beretta, which is really awesome at close range. They have 6 Kar 98s. They also have an MG34, and they have a Panzerfaust. But the best thing about them is they are incredibly elite. So these guys are 2-star with a command unit nearby, and that's really, really useful. This AT gun manages to finish off the Crusader, or Cromwell, sorry, before it gets away. So that was brilliant. And my AT gun here is going to work on a lot of this infantry. So the Ostrupen's still trying to push through against all odds. I'm bringing in my ME-109 here. That's going to catch on to one of Valh's Spitfires, and I'm going to shoot that down, and we're going to carry on to the second Spitfire Mark 9. I brought in a second ME-109 just because I know he does have a Tempest, so I do have to be careful about that. But since I have now air control, he's not going to put 2 versus 1. I'm going to use my ME-109s to strafe and kill off a couple of units here and there. So I take out the rifle leader on the right side, but I've got to be careful of the Crusader AA here, which does do a lot of damage to my aircraft. I brought up a new AT gun since this push is breaking through quite heavily. take out that rifle squad with a quick strafe run. My mortar does go down finally there, and my Osttroopen in the field are dead as well. So I'm losing a lot of ground here, 55% in Val's favour. He's currently nearly 1,000 points ahead of me, which is not good at all. I'm going to be bringing in this Ju-88 again. It's reloaded, and that's going to be going for the bombing run onto the half-tracks here. I really want to take out at least one of them, but not even this one dies, and that was really disappointing. The bombing strike really let me down there, and Val did an amazing job of microing all of those half-tracks to completely avoid that bombing strike. So at this point, Val's reinforced the forest on this side. I don't really have any more infantry at this point to really push that other than the Italian infantry, so just bringing up some of that to reinforce, and I'm trying my best to maintain ground in the centre of the map at the moment to provide that pressure. Now the Crusader AA does actually get line of sight onto my Pak 40 before it turns round and kills it off, no problem, which was really annoying, so I'm forced to bring up a Panzer B2 to take care of that. I know that I've taken out his Cromwell on this right side thanks to the Pak, so I'm relying on this B2 at this point to push in. So the Tempest's going to be coming in there and stunning my Pak 40. He managed to blow up his AT gun though with my artillery. My artillery was doing a lot of damage throughout this game, killing off a lot of units, a lot of the AT guns and infantry. And over here, well, a couple of my Italian infantry do get into the building there. This Italian infantry is going to be trying to use its Panzerfaust to blow up these half-tracks. I target the one with most veterancy first on purpose so that it doesn't destroy my infantry. And I managed to take out a second one there with a second Panzerfaust, and also these guys with direct fire are helping me out, which is really, really nice. And a third half-track goes down there to the third Panzerfaust of that squad. So 3 Panzerfausts, 3 kills. This infantry squad already paid itself off. The half-tracks and so on coming into the town. They're trying to charge me down at this time. Now I'm really trying to take advantage of my units. This one, however, is in the command radius, so that's not going to surrender. And you can see here, the Pak is going to get a kill onto the half-track there. So that was good too. Right, Panzer B2 is going to be engaging the Crusader AA. Tempest is going to be coming in. And, well, I'm trying to take out this Tempest. So I decide to bring in the Me-109 G0. And that's going to get onto the back of the Tempest there and shoot it down after I baited him with both of my other Me-109. So, again, maintaining air supremacy in this game. I find there's something that I'm actually pretty decent at is really looking after my air force in this game. Something that I've got to grips with quite nicely. But here, Val's push amounted to nothing. A lot of his half-tracks went into this town and eventually died out. He even gave me a Bedford supply here to resupply my infantry, so I come back and resupply the machine guns there. On the right side, my Italian infantry engaging the rifles in rifle range. So getting some free shots onto those. And my V2, I need to move that forwards and kill off the Crusader AA. Now half-track is taking out one of my artillery guns here, so I've had to bring in a Befehl Panzer 35S, but that just randomly blows up. And that was actually due to Val's Firefly here, which sniped my unit the whole way down the road. So you can see the range of that. The end circle is 1,200 meter range, and you can see it popped the Panzer 35 just as it moved into the trees there, which was pretty unfortunate. However, since he makes my AT gun get pinned down, I fall it back, and my Panzer B2 here, along with supporting infantry, is going to be driving through this tree line to try and make back some ground. Now you can see these guys are 3-star infantry squads, incredibly powerful, especially backed up by the Pioneer Führer, which is providing the 3rd star. On this left side, these Ostrupen MVPs of this game still standing their ground, taking on the motorized rifles. My Ju-88 is going to be coming in for another bombing run. I dodge my own infantry out of the way, and I let that hit the mark. And basically what ends up happening is kill off one of the infantry, the other two survive, but they are pinned down, so that's helpful. I've now got all of my Me-109s in the sky, 2 G6R6s and a G0, and these are going to be harassing these half-tracks, because from my perspective, all I can see at the moment is half-tracks upon half-tracks. And here I managed to blow up a couple of them, thanks to those fighters. And I'm just going to be continuing to pick off as many as I can with the fighters, because they are really proving to be an issue at the moment. The thing with an armoured deck is that they do have a lot of half-tracks. Over on this left side, I focused down this M5 half-track, managed to pin it down and force it to fall back, which means that they stop shooting at my Grenadier, but the AEC Mark III is still firing away. My infantry is really what I'm trying to use here to make back some ground. That half-track goes down. All of that machine gun and cannon fire. You see my Me-109 squadron here going with the strafing runs onto all of these half-tracks. And that's just because I have pure dominance of the sky at this point. If Valh decided to buy any aircraft, he would just lose them. But that half-track just manages to get out of the line of sight in time. And since all of my Me-109s are pretty low on ammunition and fuel, I am going to be having to evacuate them soon. Here you can see the Panzer B2 going to be engaging the motorized rifles. Going to be taking that out with the help of the SDKFZ-7. And well, since I'm low on ammunition and fuel, I'm just going to evac these as soon as Valh brings in 2 Tempests. So he's saved up for that Air Force now, but it's kind of useless because I've now brought up a Flak 41. And this is a 2-star flak alongside the Pioneer Führer here. So that's going to be able to fire at those aircraft very quickly. However, we must remember at this point, Valh's still leading by a 55% territory lead and has 1,565 points ahead of me. Like, it's actually quite crazy right now. So I'm kind of worried. Bringing up another Flak 88 for the left side though. One of my Italian infantry finally goes down here to the motorized rifles. But finally, the AEC on this left side goes down. That recon vehicle was just so difficult for me to kill in Phase A, especially with the way that Valh managed to support it. So kudos to Valh for keeping that alive for so long. By the way, Flak 88s upon Flak 88s is all I need at this point. Just got to push back towards these tanks and half-tracks as best I can and try and make back some ground. I've still got my artillery here. All of my artillery guns are alive at this point. And I've now got a Pak 43 coming up the road to hopefully deal with this Firefly. He's sneaking into range. See, the edge circle there is the 1,200 meter range it needs. Just slowly wheeling that forwards. These guys are absolute champions lifting this huge AT gun. And, well, even being pushed back by the Bedford Supply. So against all odds, they're still going to carry on. But the Bedford Supply here was the truck I captured in the town. And I'm just going to be bringing that back to resupply my artillery here. So I've got my contingent of infantry for the left side, a couple of Italian infantry alongside a command infantry to push into the forest on this side, supported by the Flak 88 and the SDKFZ-7, which does have an MG42 and is a 1-star vehicle, so that's actually pretty damn useful. My artillery is firing away, going to be targeting whatever I can see, so in this case the Firefly there, and continuously moving forwards the Pak 43, and I've now got my 3 aircraft in the sky to escort the Ju-88, and that's just to again bomb this compound here, and as we can see in the neutral perspective, It's pinned down the majority of Valh's infantry and actually done quite a lot of damage. What I do need to be careful of though is all of this stuff coming down the left side. But I've managed to get the Flak 88 out now, so this is going to cover my advance from anything that he can really throw at me. Flak 43's got 22 AP power, more than enough to kill a Firefly. These Flak 41s also have the 16 AP power, so that's more than enough as well. And they can also fire at infantry and aircraft, so Flak 88s are damn useful in this game, that's for sure. Now Valh has brought up his sexton. He's going to be engaging my artillery with that and is going to be taking out one of my artillery guns finally. This artillery gun, I have no idea what it was doing, but I must have accidentally moved it up. I think what happened here was it ran out of ammunition and then decided to suicide walk towards the enemy. That's something that artillery tends to do. But now if we go to my perspective, I can see that I've just engaged 2 motorized rifle leaders at the same time. And there's no reason for Valh to have like 2 leader units in the same place unless he's run out of infantry. So we were on comms to each other, we were talking at each other throughout this game, and I was like, Valh, are you out of infantry? And he was like, no. You know, like that really unconvincing no that people say when they blatantly are. So yeah, I'm just realizing that now, and I still have loads of my Italian infantry to use, and you can see that it's really starting to mount up the amount of units that I am mustering to the field. Valh's really starting to rely on scouts. He's even relying on his Areki here, as well as these motorized rifle leaders, and I have full squads of Italian elite infantry pushing towards him. These guys aren't actually that elite, only one of the squads has veterancy, the other one not. But yeah, these 2 star fellas, really, really good. Not even in the command radius of the Pioneer Theory at the moment. Bit of a mistake on my part, honestly, but there we go. Also bringing up my second Flak 88 for the left side. And that's going to provide me with another fire support vehicle. So now it's just a matter of pushing back. I've got my Panzer B2 here. That's going to be engaging the M5 half track there, and the Crusader AA is going to get pinned down due to the motorized rifles firing a Piat. And these Italian rifle, well, I actually move them out at the wrong time, let's say that much, as they managed to get pinned down and are forced to fall back. My Pak 43 here has actually killed the Firefly in the center here. It managed to get line of sight, which was good, and therefore ended up doing a lot of damage, and now has line of sight onto the infantry into these buildings. But that's continuing to attack move up the road. I don't want that to stay static at all, otherwise it will just get hit by these sextons which Valh is using. I'm moving over 1 unit of my infantry to the right side. But what am I going to use to support myself? A Vulcan UE630. This is just like a little tank hull with a rocket launcher mounted on the back, and it looks so derp, but those rockets are 30 HP power and nothing to laugh about, as they do burn the crap out of anything they land upon. So I push back the front line on this side, and I can see that obviously by the front line pushing, and that means that pretty much all of this infantry is either retreating or pinned down, or is just plain and simply dead. So I'm moving up my Italian infantry to take the ground, and I've also taken this forest quite convincingly, since he doesn't have anything he can throw into that forest that can do the job. I've got a Flak 88 on the main road in the centre, I've got a Flak 88 on the right, and I've also got air supremacy, so I'm going to be continuing to use that combination for the rest of the game to try and make back as much ground as I can as quickly as possible. I brought it back to 50-50 now, so now's my chance to try and get this back. Crusader AA here is still very much alive. But what I'm going to do is try and get rid of some of this artillery. So I'm going to try and bomb that with my Ju-88, and although a lot of bombs land on target, the Sexton actually survives. I did manage to snipe one of the Sextons already with the Pak-43 as it came down the road, and this one's also managing to get a shot onto the second one, so that was really good. Still got a couple of Me-109s flying about, and Valh has 2 Tempests in the sky, but now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Flak 88s, and there's not much of a chance that his Tempests are really going to win in an air engagement should they engage me. Over on the left side, the Panzer B2 finally takes care of the Crusader AA, and I'm going to be continuing to bring up even more infantry to the left side. Valh's completely run out at this point, so he's having a bit of a predicament with what to do. Panzer B2 here is able to engage the Sexton, and these Tempests are going to be forced back due to all of my Flak 88s. So now the Flak 88 wall is moving forwards. I've got all of my Flak 88's attack moving towards the opponents at this point. The F-109s have got control of the sky, and this Pak-43 is also doing a great job. Already killed off one of the dingoes that Valh brought in. Now getting shots onto the Sherman 5, and this with only 1-star veterancy. Not going to be very accurate, and doesn't even get a shot off before the ammo explodes, thanks to the 2-star Pak-43. Now over on this right side, going to be pushing here as well. Finding this rifle leader is pretty much all he has. Just going to be pushing upon that with the Italian infantry and the fire support. It's pretty much at this point just an infantry push with Flak 88s rolling up behind them, and then the occasional tank and AT gun, so Panzer B2 and the Pak-43 moving forwards here. This Bren group's just run out of ammunition entirely, so they don't have a chance against the Italian infantry here, let alone this AT gun, and they're just going to die off, and I'm going to push the front line so far forwards at this point. It's also going to cut off these rifle leaders, and what's going to happen as soon as they come into line of sight is they're going to get killed off very quickly, and that's going to get rid of the little pocket there as well. So now I'm running a 55% territory lead, and I'm finally starting to get points on the board. It's not much Valh can do against my infantry, and every infantry unit he loses, including these scouts, is another detriment to his division. Still piling in with more of the Italian infantry here. My artillery, some of it's still alive, so that's still firing away as well. I'm trying to use this Lorraine to kill off the Bedford supply there. And I'm really making a significant push back now. So there is a Cromwell 6 and a Cromwell 4 here, Command Cromwell 4. As soon as they get into a line of sight of either my Flak 88 or my Pak-43, they're not going to have a good time. In this case, the Pak-43 here, that's going to hit the Cromwell 6 there and force that to fall back. Then going to turn to the left and continue to fire upon these Cromwells. However, this one manages to get a shot onto it with its 1,200 meter range gun. Pak-43 is still going to be pinned down there, and also one of my Italian infantry that went through the edge of the tree line also get wrecked. But since Valh is moving up his Cromwells here, he's being shot at by both this Flak 88, this Flak 88, and the Pak-43. And this is where his armour disintegrates, and he's not having a great time. The command carrier comes up to try and take care of the Flak 88 as well, but that one's going to kill the one up here, and the Panzerfaust from this Italian infantry took out the one close by. So, yeah. Flak 88 is going to be continuing to move forwards. Valh's going to be trying to use his Sextons to hold me back, but my push is slowly rolling up, and I'm actually at a +2 at this point. However, there is only 3 minutes left on the clock. 40-minute game, 3 minutes left, and I know I have the lead now. he has no infantry left. These flak 88s are just proving to be such an issue for him. He can't use any of his air force. His tanks just aren't good enough, especially considering he doesn't have enough to kill the flak 88s, and even the artillery is just not being effective enough. Look how long it's taken him to kill off one flak 88 here, and I've got 3 more on the left. So the wall's just going to continue to move forwards, and I also have my own counter battery in the form of this Lorraine. So at this point, Valh is pretty doomed, but he is going to be saved by the Valh, since there is now 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. So I've finally broken through his very hard pushes in phase A and B, but yeah, he held the ground, and that's what matters. In phase A, I just let him have the 52% lead for way too long, when I definitely could have been making ground back in certain situations. Here the Tempests are going to be trying to engage my Me-109s. I'm going to have this Me-109G0 go on to that Tempest, and have the other 2 circle round to take out this one as it gets hit more by the flak 88s. And I think this is when Valh really realised that how many I actually had, because that is like 5 flak 88s on the map right now. Not too much he can do about that. But just going to continue to harass his tanks where I can. From my perspective, there isn't too much to see. I'm just bombing another tank there, continuing to move forwards with my support vehicles and the flak 88s, as well as the infantry, just continuing to move forwards here and take as much ground as I can. I did manage to get the +3 at this point with 65% map control. That comes up in a second. I had it briefly there, but either way it wouldn't matter at this point. Even with a +3 lead, I'm not going to make points quick enough to catch up to Valh's 1,914. He almost won before I stopped his territory lead. It was very, very close, and then I didn't manage to take it back quick enough, or get a +3 quick enough to make back enough points. So it was unfortunate, but it was a really, really fun and close game. Really showed off a lot of the new units and how this deck really works. I was surprised to see how well this deck actually outlasted his deck, especially considering the amount of power that he has in his deck, but it's useless against what I have. So for example, he has Achilles and he has Fireflies, but they're useless against flak 88s. You can see there, flak 88's just going to pop a Firefly. It doesn't matter at this point. I don't use tanks, so it's not like I'm bringing in Fireflies and he can counter the... I'm not bringing in Panthers, sorry, and he's countering the Panthers with Fireflies or Achilles. That's not happening. He's literally just, you know, bringing in stuff that can't counter my stuff. And I've just got another 2 flak 88s coming up there at the end of the game, just to add insult to injury. And well, if that Wolverine had died on the left side, I think the entire map would have been mine, but it wouldn't have mattered at this point, since after 40 minutes, Valh is victorious and beats me in the 1v1. Absolutely awesome game. I love playing with Valh. He's always a great sport, and I love playing against him. I have done it previously, I just don't tend to record them, but I should definitely more often, and I'm really tempted to make this into like a series where me and him like 1v1. Obviously that's up to him as well. I can't just force him to play games against me all the time, but he does have his own life. But yeah, if we jump into the team perspective, well, I had 4,045 kills to 1,605 losses, and I think Valh put this very politely when he said, "I've never seen someone lose like a victory so badly," or something along those lines, because there are points in that game where Valh shouldn't have had the territory lead. I just kind of let him have it because I wasn't pushing my infantry effectively. And yeah, that's basically the story of the game. I killed so much of his stuff towards the end there, especially with the flak 88s. I shot down all of those planes, and if we jump into the kills, well, we can see that, well, Valh managed to get a lot of these kills with the AAC Mark IIIs, and the Crusader AA Mark IIs, picked off a lot of these Osttroop and stuff, but he didn't get that many kills. Whereas if we go to losses, you can see that he lost so much to like my AT guns, he lost a lot of stuff to my artillery, a lot of important stuff. My Ju-80 got a couple of kills there, the Pak-40 picked off Crusader AA, and those are quite expensive. The Me-109 there, shooting down one of his Spitfires, another one there getting another Spitfire kill, and we also managed to take out a Sexton as well as the M5 half-tracks with those aircraft, since I did have air supremacy. This Me-109 G0 taking out 2 Tempests, this Panzer B2 taking out a lot of those half-tracks motorized rifles with all of its combined weaponry, and then the Flak 88s come in and they're just decimating the rest of his force. So moving into Phase C, the Flak 88s really like countered how his deck worked, especially considering he'd ran out of infantry, and even if he did have infantry, the Flak 88 still would have been pounding them really hard. So he didn't really have much of a chance to get back at me with anything substantial. The main thing that he could have used is obviously artillery and maybe smoke, but at that point it didn't matter. Like, I had so many of them and I was just overwhelming him, and yeah, he could have smoked them off, but it wouldn't have made too much of a difference, as I would have just continued to roll forwards, especially with all of the infantry support that I had, and it wouldn't have mattered. So yeah, in the end I just ended up rolling over him, but he'd made such a lead early on that he still won. And that's just the story of the game, and I really enjoyed playing this one. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. It was an epic battle between myself and Valh in a really, really awesome game that shows the importance of phases in this game. And yeah, epic is all I can say. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.